another major day at the Supreme Court. It sure was. The justices handing down another groundbreaking decision today. This one blocking President Joe Biden's student loan forgiveness plan. A lot of people were for this. A lot of people were against it. So we've got our chief legal analyst, Katie Barlow, joining us live to break it all down. Katie, good afternoon to you. What can you tell us here?
Hey guys, good afternoon to you both. You're exactly right. It's the end of June, which means usually that's when the big decisions come down from the Supreme Court this week, and today is no exception. Two big decisions out of the court today. The first, the one that a lot of folks are talking about, the court in a 6-3 decision with the court's conservative justices in the majority striking down President Joe Biden's $400 billion student debt forgiveness plan. Now, this decision from the court today will affect over 40 million Americans across the country. The federal loan program has 43 million borrowers with $1.6 trillion in borrowed money. So we're talking a lot of folks affected by today's decision. What the majority said was that President Joe Biden went beyond what he was allowed to do under the law that he claimed he was allowed to do it under. He put forward this entire plan under something called the HEROES Act, which was a law that was passed after 9/11 that gives the Secretary of Education some wiggle room to waive and modify certain things in the law so that they can help people when there's a national emergency, so that borrowers aren't worse off because of the emergency. Now, what the court today said is that waive or modify, which is the language in the statute, doesn't mean unilaterally forgive hundreds of billions of dollars in student debt. So they struck down that program today in a challenge that was brought by 6 Republican attorneys general.
So, Katie, politically, this is a big blow to the Biden administration, huh? Is there a plan B?
Well, there may be a plan B. It sounds like President Joe Biden is going to take the podium in just a few minutes, around 3:30 this afternoon, I think, and that he does have a plan B. We don't know what that is yet. Democrats on the Hill all day have been encouraging him to look at other statutory options, other laws where he can try and forgive student loan debt. Perhaps there's a law called the Higher Education Act that might be an option for him, but we'll hear more from him at 3:30, and then we'll have more reporting coming up at 4, 5, and 6.
Okay. And Katie, there was another big ruling today as well on LGBTQ rights. And can you explain that for us?
Yes, so there is a custom wedding website designer in Colorado who did not want to provide custom wedding websites to queer people, same-sex couples, and there's a law in Colorado, like there are in many states, that says if your business is open to the public, you can't discriminate against protected groups of people. Now, she said that law violated her right to free speech, specifically her right not to be compelled to speak in a way she didn't wish to, that she would otherwise essentially have to endorse same-sex marriage if she had to create custom wedding websites for them, and the court agreed with her, siding with her, and allowing her to make that challenge under the First Amendment, a big blow to the LGBTQ community, where these laws typically protect discrimination against these types of groups. So a loss for them today, a win for her in court, and what she calls a win for free speech.
Katie, I got to ask you quickly, does this contradict a previous law, a previous decision that was made in regards to, you remember, the wedding cake conversation that was several years ago in regards to a gay couple?
Yeah, so the Masterpiece Cake Shop case, also out of Colorado, was a much more narrow decision that really had to do with both a religion clause in the First Amendment and a couple of other decisions that were made by the commission that oversees these types of decisions in Colorado. Today's decision has pretty wide ramifications for all of these states that have these public accommodation laws that say if your business is open to the public, you can't discriminate against these people. Now, it does sound like the court's reasoning and rationale is curbed to folks who have creative work. She obviously would be putting work into creating and speaking in a way that may be different from some other businesses. But now folks and court watchers are saying, well, where is the line? Everyone can kind of make an argument that the business they're in is speech or is creative. So there may be some follow-up after today's decision. We'll see.
Okay, Katie Barlow, chief legal correspondent there at the Supreme Court for us today. She'll have more 4, 5, and 6. And as she mentioned, we are expecting to hear from President Biden at about 3:30 this afternoon in regards to those decisions.
I want to hear if he has a plan B.
Yeah.
I need some of that student forgiveness.
Yeah.